Culturally and Linguistically Diverse Students, an Inquiry Project by Veronica Guerin for ECLD 602. The question I was trying to answer in this inquiry project was, how do the cultural perspectives of the school faculty members correlate with the perspectives of CLD students pertaining to multicultural climate within the school? Pioneer Ridge Elementary School is located in the heart of Pioneer Ridge subdivision off County Road 17 in Johnstown, Colorado. The school houses a total of 477 students from grades kindergarten to 5th grade. Built in 2005, Pioneer Ridge was meant to take on the overgrowth of students not able to attend any of the other 2 elementary schools in the Weld RE5J school district. According to the Colorado Department of Education, and in comparison to the state average, Pioneer Ridge Elementary School is above average for students who are in attendance who are white, and below average for students who are of Hispanic, Asian, and Black descent. After reading Chapter 12 in Sonia Nieto's Language, Culture, and Teaching, Critical Perspectives, it is clear that the extent of many schools' multicultural prescriptions include tolerance. In her article, Nieto argues that tolerance is not enough, and even would go as far as to say that it is the lowest form of multicultural support offered, using the terms superficial band-aid and feel-good additive. A major point Nieto brings up in her text is how multicultural education is not unitary, and research has repetitively supported the complexity with which we approach the needs in this field. While a noble idea, schools must go beyond tolerance so that our teaching can go farther than slight accommodations to differences. Due to the small amount of CLD students present in the school, both in comparison to the state averages and the other elementary schools within the district, and because of the limited resources available to these students, my goal for this inquiry project was to raise awareness about the faculty's beliefs regarding language and teachings of CLD students within the school. From this exercise, I hope to increase collaboration among content teachers, administrators, and school ESL specialists by bringing to light the perceptions of the CLD students in the school. Reading Starfenner's Advocating for English Learners, a guide for educators, I was curious to know what I would find out about the faculty at my own school. Because it was my goal to host a professional development on multicultural education, I felt this survey was a great resource for beginning the conversation. It took a while to get the faculty to take time out to complete the survey, and still I did not have 100% participation, but luckily those that were missed can complete the survey on paper during the PD session if needed. On the right is a paper copy of the survey I replicated into Google Forms. I did this for convenience and to increase participation by the staff. Out of the entire staff working at Pioneer Ridge, 27 of them teach a grade level homeroom. However, only 15 of this staff responded to the teacher survey. This was the population targeted for this investigation because of their primary role as homeroom teacher. The survey, which was taken from Diane Starfenner's text, was created with the intent to begin a dialogue in creating a shared sense of responsibility for educating CLD students. According to Starfenner, teachers should first ascertain their perspectives on language as well as their feelings regarding working with ELs. Part 1 of the survey, Perspectives on Language, examines educators' beliefs and values regarding the political and sociocultural aspects of using English and other languages in the home, school, and society. Part 2, Preparation for Teaching, focuses on respondents' self-reported level of expertise and comfort in designing and implementing instruction for English learners. The student survey, which was distributed by the ESL specialist at Pioneer Ridge, was gathered from Sherry Marks, Dr. Sherry Marks, and Dr. Deborah Burns from the School of Teacher Education and Leadership at Utah State University. Here we can see a copy of the Multicultural School Climate Inventory distributed to the CLD students. After completing the surveys, I took the information and graphed the data so as to analyze any visible correlations. From the information given from these surveys, I plan on sharing the findings with my colleagues in a professional development session about multicultural education. From there, I would like to consider sharing my research with the school district and begin extending the discussion of including strategic supports within the classroom, as well as promote a culturally aware community by hosting a session for parents as well. The next few slides are a compilation of the data that was graphed from the teacher surveys first. For each of the statements, the teachers had to choose their best response from left to right, with 1 being a strongly disagree to a 6, which is strongly agree. In the graph, the horizontal axis represents the responses. The vertical axis represents the number of teachers who responded. The slides that follow are the graphed responses for the CLD student survey. It is important to note that there are a total of 11 CLD students attending Pioneer Ridge, all at varying levels of language proficiency, and all at varying ages and gender. I also do not know any of these students personally and do not know any personal information about them outside of school. These are variables clearly not accounted for in this inquiry project. All the surveys were anonymous, so students could try to answer honestly. Out of the 11 students taking this survey, 8 of them were of Latino or Hispanic descent, 2 Korean, and 1 Vietnamese. For this survey, the students were asked to read the statements and choose their best response from a 1, which is a strongly agree, to a 5, which was a strongly disagree. The students were supported by the ESL specialist where they took this survey. Per the final scores for the language use survey and the categories described by Starr-Fenner, 3 out of the 10 teachers who tallied their scores scored between the 13 to 26 range, 5 scored between the 27 to 52 range, and 1 scored between the 53 to 78 range. The information in the previous slide, the teachers who scored between 13 to 26 points feel that being an American is equated with speaking English and seeing the value in English being used for official purposes in the United States. They mostly agree that students need to learn English quickly in order to succeed in school, and they don't think it's as important for those students to maintain their first language. They think that some English learners are not motivated enough to learn English and might be taking advantage of their status as ELs to justify their lack of successful academic performance in school. Of those that scored between the 27 and 52 point range, they may not feel as strongly that being American is equated with speaking English and may not agree that English should be used for official purposes in the United States. They believe that ELs need to learn English in order to succeed in school, but they may think that these students should also maintain their first language and also learn content simultaneously with English. They may think that some English learners are motivated to learn English and might believe ELs contribute to the classroom climate. Of the 1 person who scored in between the 53 to 78 point range, they believe that it is possible to be an American even if a person does not speak English fluently. They most likely do not believe that only English should be used for official purposes in the United States. And while they believe that ELs need to learn English in order to succeed in school, they also believe that these students should also maintain and develop their first language and also learn challenging content simultaneously with English. They think English learners bring strengths to their school and are motivated to learn English. For the preparation for teaching EL score portion of the survey, 3 out of the 10 who reported their tallies scored in the 13 to 26 range, and 7 between the 27 to 52 range. Of the 3 that scored between the 13 to 26 point range, they are aware of the challenges that they face when teaching ELs, but need a great deal more information on language, culture, prior knowledge, and modification of instruction for ELs. They also don't have an in-depth understanding of the interplay between language, culture, instruction, and learning. Of the 7 that ranged between the 27 and 52 point range, they were aware of the challenges that they face when teaching ELs and have a beginning understanding of language, culture, prior knowledge, and modification for instruction for ELs. They have an understanding of the interplay between language, culture, instruction, and learning. However, they could still use some more information and strategies on how to effectively instruct ELs. Concerning the CLD student survey, and the information gathered from the survey, the majority of the CLD students were homogeneous in most of their responses. Of the 22 statements included in the survey, the only ones that were of some variety were the inclusion of home culture and language in their classes, the home culture and home language are valued by the school, and an important part of succeeding in school is speaking English. What this tells me is these are areas that we can begin to look at closer during the professional development session, and I can begin to plan some strategic supports and resources for teachers to use in their classroom. The successes of my study, they gave me an insight into the current circumstances of the faculty and the CLD students attending PRE. From this insight, I began to plan strategic professional development that addressed the teaching and inclusion of CLD students in the future. The challenges of this inquiry, and as with all surveys, the information is a self-reflection, and the responses may be an over or underestimate. I didn't see a direct correlation with the responses that the students gave compared to the responses that the teachers gave. The surveys left much in the way of background information. I did not have a lot of information concerning the teachers or even the students that took the survey. Next steps. Taking my surveys, and I would like to use them as a starting point to begin discussion concerning multicultural education in the school district as well as in the community. I'd like to extend my research and dig deeper into the community and the dynamics that lie in the community as well as within the school in how we create our perceptions of multicultural education. I'd like to begin thinking about supports both inside and outside the school to collaborate with families.